blind babies looking for food. Starvation, the recipe, people subdued. When the people you trust got it in for you. Deceit is the word of the day and every clue. Don't let it go, it's from the days of old. Time is up, but some still do not know. Can I make up my mind? Is it worth the dime? Do I have to take a minute just to make it mine? Life's never fair, but don't listen to the TV. Go out and take a listen to the streets with the people in the slums and the homeless bums with degrees and degrees sitting under a tree. It's not easy in the world for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. See, they don't want you to know about the black sheep, leaving 7 rows to the families all around the globe with an ancient code. Is it really asking a lot to say a death old? Cause we sitting on the earth looking back at extinct, and I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink, but I documented for the world what I see and think. Feel we on the call and up and we on the break. All Congress gonna do is waste paper and ink. Vote or die, you voted and you'll die. You can have it both ways, can't say it's a lie. You can march all you want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war, it's the same old song. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. Like a lotus coming out of the mud with colors, I create envy in those with power but jealous. I unify the poor with my song, the hell with the others. Descended the way they treat indigenous brothers, cause I understand we link forever. They try to hate us even though that we keep it together. I'm not talking about controlling the air or the weather, I'm talking about maintaining the truth, the high endeavor. A rebel drops bombs in the midst of trouble. The free world counterattack and now there's double, but nature gets the shit in a way that's subtle. If you stop the machines for a minute you might hear, but they won't cause the TVs whisper in the ear. And capitalism has eyes that don't tear, and they cloud up and get crazy and won't steer. And like an ab, it's hard to get an ass to listen. Living like this is like living in prison. It's hard to keep hope when you're living in prison. The spiritual thoughts, so yes, the mental prison. The outside, yes, it's got to get through. Something's gotta die, so something here can live. Your life is nothing if you got nothing to give. Keeping the spiritual, yes, disguised as religion. Controlling your mind, the mental prison. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war.
Alright, y'all. 1 2 1 2. Once again, I'm back at it, and I am blessed, to be able to give my views and my opinions about what I see about my country, the country I come from, the country that my forefathers come from. I mean, my ancestors come from, both sides of my family. And I say this all the time because we are up against tyrannical forces that use this idea of owning the USA and being the forefathers. We are up against forces that use those very ideas against everyone else. So when I say that my ancestors, both sides of my family, have been in the United States since the beginning and even before, fought in every war, independence, civil war, I mean it, but I'm not saying it to exclude anybody else whose family didn't. I'm not saying it for that purpose. I'm saying it because people like me are faced with other people who think who you are as an American is based on your look. And they assume everything else. They assume the flag. They assume the talking points, but nobody ever looks into it and dissects who they are actually. And you find out that these people are just petty thieves. They're not anybody. They like to talk about the Declaration of Independence, but they have zero to do with the values of it. They have distorted the entire story, and not only distorted it towards people of color, but just distorted it in front of the world, in front of Everybody whose family has found themselves in the United States of America or came in the colonial period or before, they have distorted everyone's history in order to be petty thieves. Just petty dictatorial thieves. Just some oligarchy wanting petty thieves, you know? And it is about to get personal. It's about to get personal. Um, but I am blessed to just be a simple, humble brother from Washington, D.C., who has traveled outside of his city because of his own little hands and his own little crafts, and has gone to many places in my own country and outside of my own country, and found myself one day, strangely enough, in Denmark, Copenhagen, Denmark, a place where I have the freedom to speak my mind. And I'm going to use it because my country is under goddamn attack. I first started saying this last year, a year ago. I took down a lot of videos, not many, and not that the videos, it's because of some standards when I was learning how to some of the rules and regulations, how to really do a podcast. I here and there maybe have violated some of the rules. So just to make sure I don't get any interference this time, I took down a lot of the old videos because they would tend to I would make some silly mistakes, basically being a new podcaster. Not that the information was inaccurate, but the people that have been following me for some time, they know that I've been saying our country is under attack a year ago. I've been saying this before the election, that what Trump is up to with Putin constitutes an attack on the United States of America. And it is a covert attack. The first part of it is covert, but it's not going to stay there. It's going to get violent, explosively violent. It is. It's going to get there. And that's been their plan the entire time. Because, see, the United States, as imperfect as it has been for some, or for many, even MAGA people are like, yeah, this country's been oppressive towards us, right? Okay, y'all too, you're in that conversation. As oppressive as you think it has been towards you, MAGA folk, it's actually been the envy of the world. Pretty much, a lot of people respect some unique things about Americans. And you are about to rip those unique things apart. I mean, you are ripping those unique things apart. You're ripping them apart. The U.S., for a lot of people, have been a salvation, a country that has come. Now, don't get me wrong. Russia has gone around the world saying it's saving people too. Russia has. All superpowers say that. All superpowers declare that their intentions are good towards other people. They've all said that. That's just how it goes in history. You won't find one that says their intentions are bad. In fact, you won't find one country that says their intentions are bad. But yet we find oppression in every country, right? To some form or another, we found every country, most countries, if you're lucky, have evolved beyond certain forms of oppression and become more progressive. That we have found with democratic nations. We have found that. The Western nations are not the same as they were when they started, but the United States started on a special principle. Europeans came to the United States fleeing oppression, fleeing rulership. And at one point, they had to raise arms against that form of rulership. They were the kings, right? They wanted to rule. They didn't want people to have a voice. They wanted people to just follow what they did and pay their taxes. And you didn't have any rights because you were all subjects, right? You didn't have rights. The king had rights. Well, we had a war of independence over that. That's part of the true history of the U.S. That's part of it. Now, I know MAGA people, they don't like to talk about that part because they don't know about that part. That's not it doesn't even exist in their minds because they don't know American history, right? Although they claim that the Constitution, you can see all they want to do is tear the Constitution down. They claim the flag, but you can see they love the KKK Dixie flag more than they love the American flag. In reality, they really do. And when you see how the people who fund these movements treat the people that follow these movements, you see that they don't treat the people that follow these movements too well, because most of these people that follow these movements will tell you they're having a hard time. They'll tell you somebody's taking their job. They'll tell you the world's against them. They'll tell you the Illuminati's against them in the USA. But actually, it's the very people like Trump that steal money, and parties like the Republican Party that have nothing but corrupt people in it, that make little contracts for themselves and their families and pass poor laws in their own states. Hence why you're about to get flooded again in those red states. Hence why you're about to feel the inflation more than other states. Yes, you are. While Trump is going around cleaning up Democratic states, what's he doing for red states? Is he cleaning anything up? Is he helping your pockets? What is he doing? Is he helping you get into a class? Is he helping you? What is he doing? He's helping you with anything. Healthcare? What's Trump doing for you? Nothing, because you're basically nobodies, and you have been saying you're nobodies. You haven't said, hey, us MAGA folk are nobodies, but you say it in another way. You say everybody else is taken from us. That's how you say you're nobody. You claim the victim role, right? And you are victims. You are victims of Elon Musk. You are victims of Donald Trump, but you're also victims of your own ignorance, because you voted for it. You voted for it. You see, now there's a difference. Democrats didn't vote for Trump. So what they're getting from Trump, the help that they're getting from Trump, they didn't even ask for it. Which shows you there must be some real elitist shit going on here. But the red state folks, they're not getting help with nothing. There's no help for them, right? Because there was never intended for there to ever be any help for the economic suffering that white Americans face in red states. It was never intended to be that way. That was never, the goal was to use one group of Americans against the other, create a war so a few can steal the country from everyone. Steal the money, steal the contract, control everything so they could become kings. That was the game. And you dumb motherfuckers fell for it. You did. You fell for it. And while you're sitting there watching Trump send ICE and these places around into blue states, that's the thing that they call the bait on the hook for the MAGA people, to allow them to steal everything else while you go through the suffering of inflation, right? I mean, how your school's going to do in red states coming up? How's this hurricane season going to do you? We're going to stream hurricane seasons in red states from now on. So anybody in the chat, you can just interrupt whatever the theme of the show is and remind me where the next hurricane hit. Remind me where the flooding hit so we can jump on that real quick. Okay, just please do. You know what I'm saying? Right now, in any case, back to the story. But Trump didn't get this idea of ruling the country by himself. This has been like a long strategy. This has been decades. And Trump is not just this sociopathic lunatic that likes to hang out with people that likes him young, or hang out with people that sex traffic, or hang out with Russian mafia. He's not just that type that, he actually knows how to carry out a plan. He does. And I think the media has played this game where you can't say that he's been, you can't openly accuse him of, of a conspiracy with Vladimir Putin, right? The media doesn't want to do that, right? You know what I'm saying? They're not going to do that. But in reality, if anything is happening, what's happening right now in the United States is most likely a strategy to harm the United States, potentially for good, right? And Putin is feeling very good about that right now. He's feeling very good about that because he gets to toy around with Americans by toying around with their king. He really does. He gets to do that. And he gets to inject a little bit of support into Maga, which is what he has done for some time, because you may not know it, but authoritarianism and also nationalistic, racialized nationalistic tendencies do exist in Russia also. You know, they have minority populations you don't ever hear a damn thing about because Russia does not produce any data on ethnicity in Russia. So most people think that there's just like one Russian ethnic group and they're all doing well and ha ha ha. No, it's the other way around. But you wouldn't know because it doesn't make it on TV pretty much, especially in the United States of America. Doesn't make it on Fox. When was the last time you saw Fox go into Russia? You don't. You don't. Fox is not trying to teach you about the rest of the world that you live around. Fox is trying to boost you up, make you feel like the pizza man is stealing your job. The pizza delivery man is stealing your job. Point who the pizza delivery man looks like, right? And then go steal your Social Security, steal your Medicare, steal anything, everything. I mean, the booty is wide open. The USA is wide open. But let us start here. I've been saying that this was an attack for over a year. For over a year. I mean, to me, it's really simple. How hard could it be to figure this out? For me, and again, hope that I'm wrong. Like I hope that I'm always wrong about a lot of stuff that I actually turn out to be right about. Really horrible stuff. Real horrible stuff. But again, my kids aren't in the United States. My kids are black, African descent. They look like me, but they're westernized, right? Me being from the United States, right? And them growing up in Denmark, okay? Now, but my kids are not being stopped by ICE. My kids are not witnessing armies walk around the city just looking for certain ethnicities. My kids aren't watching police officers sell out their own countrymen by being pawns in a game that they know is totally fucking wrong for a person who hangs out with the most prolific, or did hang out. His best friend was the most prolific sex trafficker in the United States, pedophile. Everyone right now on duty, claiming to be a federal agent, a police officer, doing anything for Donald Trump, is doing something ordered by a person whose best friend was the most prolific pedophile and sex trafficker in the United States. That's who you are willing to fulfill orders for. That's what you're doing. And there's nothing you could do to change that because that is what it is. Are you taking orders from a person that fought for somebody's human rights, like women's rights? No, you're not. You're not taking orders from a women's rights champion in the United States. You're not. Are you taking orders from someone who had something to do with writing the Constitution of the United States? No, not related at all. Donald Trump's is a third generation immigrant at best. At best. And he's like, you could say on one side, third generation, on the other side, second, maybe two, I don't even know. And his ladies, all his wives are immigrants. So his kids are really like anchor babies, all of them, pretty much, right? You're taking orders from this fool. You're taking orders from the person whose best friend is Vladimir Putin and wants your country destroyed, wants to kill you also, and would ravel in it. You don't even really know if Vladimir Putin actually knows more about 9/11 You don't actually know because he never claimed to give a fuck about your country. But yet you're taking orders from a man who makes you're taking orders. You're taking orders. It doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what kids you stop on the street. It doesn't matter what person you pull over for a traffic ticket. It doesn't matter what you claim to be doing to help anyone today. You're taking orders from a man whose best friend is the most prolific pedophile and sex trafficker in the USA. And is keeping secrets about who else is involved. That's who you are. National Guard. If you're in anybody's city, that's who you are now. You are that. Everybody sees that. And you're just willing to do it for a little measly check. So it makes you a monkey. It doesn't make you ethical. It makes you a goddamn monkey.
I love seeing this country be great again. And Vladimir said just a little while ago, he said, I've never seen anybody do so much so fast. He said, your country is like hot as a pistol. And a year ago, he thought it was dead. I love seeing this country be great again. And Vladimir said just a little while ago, he said, I've never seen anybody do so much so fast. He said, your country is like hot as a
I've never seen anybody on the nuts of another man. And this dude is how old? You could understand a kid being like, hey, wow, Superman is great, Mom. Wow, Batman is really cool, Mom. Hey, this Batman, take me to take a picture with Batman, Mama. Ooh, wow.
As a pistol. And a year ago, he thought it was dead. I love seeing this country be great again. And Vladimir said just a little while ago, he said, I've never seen anybody do so much so fast. He said, your country is like hot as a pistol. And a year ago, he thought it was dead. I love seeing this country be great again. And Vladimir said just a little while ago, he said, I've never seen anybody do so much so fast. He said, your country is like hot as a pistol. And a year ago, he thought it was dead. I love seeing this country be great again. And Vladimir said just a little while ago, he said, I've never seen anybody do so much so fast. He said, your country is like hot as a pistol. And a year ago, he thought it was dead. I love seeing this country be great again. And Vladimir said just a little while ago, he said, I've never seen anybody do so much so fast. He said, your country is like hot as a pistol. And a year ago, he thought it was dead. I love seeing this country be.
I mean, MAGA people hate hearing Trump talk. Because here you have an old ass man, should be a grandfather. I mean, but why isn't he? I mean, is he something wrong over there in that family line? Do they all have STDs or something? Like, what's happening? Where are the grandkids? Does he have any grandkids? I don't even know, but I'm just saying, usually when you got that many kids, you might know off the top of your head at least one grandkid. You might see him carry one and say, look at my grandkid. But I'm just asking. But you have a grown ass man that should be a granddaddy, unless he is. I don't know. If he's not, he should be. Old ass man. Well, actually, I take it back because it could be Satan's baby, for real at this point. But should be that, he's of the age of a granddaddy. And he's over here kissing another man's ass like again. This.
And Vladimir said just a little while ago, he said, I've never seen anybody do so much so fast. He said, your country is like hot as a pistol. And a year ago, he thought it was dead.
This man's mind is mush. It is total, utter mush. And yes, God damn it, your country is under attack because someone knew his mind was mush a long time ago. Someone knew that his mind was mush and was like, hey, damn, I could use a man with like that, a dumbass like that. Hell yeah. Let's throw him some booty. Let's put the little honeypot around him, y'all. He's a goddamn fool. That's going to be an easy rap. And the Supreme Court being run by men, largely, they fell for it too because they're part of that club. They're part of that club. Trust me. I could be wrong, but fuck it. What do you lose from trusting me? You trusted the United States of America, and look where you're at. Look where you're at right now. So you may as well trust me. You may as well actually trust me, bro. I mean, seriously, you may as well trust me. Because Trump doesn't have me under the fucking axe. You know, I saw him coming a long time ago. Look, last time, not the last time, but one time, 2016, I was in DC. It's not the last time, but one time I was there and I was out of the States for a little while, and I went back, and one of my close homies, which I have a lot of, but he's an associate. He's not one of my closest homies, but he is definitely my good homie. You know, comes from, you know, raised in DC and comes from the same circle. He's just a little younger than me, right? Same part of town, same area. We know a lot of the same people. And so, but this is like 2016. That's like almost 10 years ago. And he told me, man, you got out of here on time. And I had left DC years before that. But when he told me that, I was like, damn. Like, but the dude is smart. Went to a very good school, right? A private school, a very well-known school, and he's not dumb at all. So when he told me that, I had to think about it a little bit. And you know, he is right, but he's not speaking about DC. He's talking about the United States of America. The United States of America. Flat out. The place that promised freedom. The place that promised to be the best country on earth. The place where you paid all your taxes to. The place where you go to work one more hour than everybody else in Western countries and take home less money in your pocket than everybody else in other Western countries after paying all your life essentials. You know, and now after having a life like that, you're about to be totally fucking screwed, because see, you have this guy. I love seeing this country be great again. And Vladimir said just a little while ago, he said, I've never seen anybody do so much so fast. He said, your country is like hot as. And look at the MAGA people in the chat. You better get out of here. Clickbait. Just get out of here. Shut the fuck up. You know, you are a slave. You are a slave. I go and please as I feel. You're the one that fucking can't do anything. You need to take orders from me. Like, really, when do you MAGA people learn something? When do you learn something? Stop being phony. Stop faking. You are broke. You need help. And kicking out all the immigrants and chasing around all the black people is not going to solve your problem. But you could solve it by kicking this motherfucker out, Trump. That's if you had any morals, if you had any ethics, if you had any attachment to the Constitution, if you had any inkling of love or care about your country, you could do that. Oh, Vladimir Putin said something, one of the most interesting things. He said, your election was rigged because you have mail-in voting. He said mail-in voting, every election. He said no country has mail-in voting. It's impossible to have mail-in voting and have honest elections. Because Vladimir said this and Vladimir said that. Vladimir said, and this motherfucker, he just believes it. Yeah, because Vladimir Putin says so. And he's telling you that's how he thinks. Let's listen again. And he said that to me. It was very interesting because we talked about 2020. He said, you won that election by so much. And that's how he got it. He said, and if you would have won, we wouldn't have had a war. You'd have all these millions of people alive now instead of dead. And he said, and you lost it because of mail-in voting. It was a rigged election, but There can be no more pathetic man than this. This man is pathetic. Oh, Vladimir Putin said something, one of the most interesting things. He said, your election was rigged because you have mail-in voting. He said mail-in voting, every election. He said no country has mail-in voting. Can you imagine any other leader of any country in the world. There is no country with a more just mush brain leader. There's none. There's none. There's not one. You MAGA people take the cake with this. You take the cake. You would rather be the president, a citizen of any other country when you want to measure the amounts of shame you should be feeling over Trump. You should be feeling utter shame to be attached to a grown man that professes his love and admiration for a person to the extent that he doesn't even fact check none of the shit the man tells him. Or you actually you voted for a man that's going to treat you like Vladimir Putin treats Russians. That's what you voted for, and that's what you're going to get.
It's impossible to have mail-in voting and have honest elections. And he said that to me. It was very interesting because we talked about 2020. He said, you won that election by so much. And that's how he got it. He said, and if you would have won, we wouldn't have had a war. You'd have all these millions of people alive now instead of dead.
And look at Sean Hannity. Sean Hannity, because we're going to go into the, the Heritage Foundation being a bunch of immigrants too. But Sean Hannity is an immigrant. He's an immigrant. Everybody, just go Google ChatGPT Sean Hannity. He's like a second generation immigrant. His parents came here, and then he was born. Well, I don't know what you call that, but this guy, if you would think that he was like, you would think his granddaddy was fucking George Washington. Frankly, you would think that he was like really down with the founders the way he talk about the shit. No, complete utter fraud, total fraud. He's a fraud American. Fraud. He is fraudulent. It would be different if he was just an immigrant and loved the country and appreciated it like everybody else. But no, this motherfucker's acting like he is really fucking that deep in America. Like man, this is crazy. And that is what you're witnessing. It's like the Twilight Zone. Two weirdos having a conversation. Neither one of them really that many generations American. Trump, third generation at best. Hannity, first or second at best. And they're having a conversation where he's up there talking. They're supposed to be both proud Americans. And all they got to do is say, oh, Vladimir told me this and Vladimir told me that.
Of dead. And he said, and you lost it because of mail-in voting. It was a rigged election. But Vladimir Putin said something, one of the most interesting things. He said, your election was rigged because you have mail-in voting. He said mail-in voting, every election. He said no country has mail-in voting. It's impossible to...
Okay, so how the fucking Marines, how the military supposed to vote, asshole? Are you dumb, motherfucking Trump? Everybody put a 1 in the chat if Trump is a motherfucking idiot. Put a 1 in the chat if Trump is just mush brain dumb as fuck. Because that's what they're doing. That's what it is. How is your own so you're telling your own military you're going to advocate to take away their vote, you dumb asshole? Like, is that what you MAGA people support? You support the military, the people out on duty defending your own goddamn country. You're going to support them not being able to fucking vote? You MAGA people better get it straight. You better get it straight because you are walking on thin ice. Right now, you think you're marching around in everybody's town. You think you're going to get it? You think you're going to get the last word? You are traitors. You are traitors. You are traitors to the United States of America and its people. You are fucking traitors. You're traitors against our military. You're traitors against our ancestors. You're traitors against our goddamn fucking country. And you're traitors to America, the whole fucking continent. You are traitors.
To have mail-in voting and have honest elections. And he said that to me. It was very interesting because we talked about 2020. He said, you won that election by so much. And that's how he got it. He said, and if you would have won, we wouldn't have had a war. You'd have all these millions of people alive now instead of dead. And he said, and you lost it because of mail-in voting. It was a rigged election, but mail. So Vladimir Putin said something, one of the most interesting. I love seeing this country be great again. And Vladimir said just a little while ago, he said, I've never seen anybody do so much so fast. He said, your country is like hot as a pistol. And a year ago, he thought it was dead. I love seeing this country be great again. And Vladimir said just a little while ago, he said, I've never seen anybody do so much so fast. He said, your country is like hot as a pistol.
Who in this chat has grown up with anyone like this? Well, Vladimir said, what the fuck? What? What kind of conversation is this? Is this preschool? What the fuck? What the hell?
And a year ago, he thought it was dead. I love seeing this country be great again. And Vladimir said just a little while ago, he said, I've never seen anybody do.
Yo, listen. In a fair world, where Americans were Americans, because obviously these two motherfuckers are lost. But in a fair world, in American culture, what you could do is you could say like this, all right, since you MAGA people brought this problem, since you elected this fool, this psychopath, this piece of shit, this treasonous, you could at least take the motherfucker out yourself. You could finish the problem. You could take responsibility. You could do something about it. Yes, in a fair world where you're living among Americans that understand they have one country. And it shouldn't be about this left and right shit. But since you want to make it about this left and right shit, you're the ones that walked in the treasonous and you walked in Putin into the United States of America. You are the ones that did it. So you bear the responsibility. Regardless, it doesn't matter how this turns out, you bear the responsibility for that.
Do so much so fast. He said, your country is like hot as a pistol. And a year ago, he thought it was dead.
Oh, did he? He thought he was
On
dead.
social media.
Brian, go first.
Pushed out on social doing away with mail-in ballots and potentially electronic voting machines. Can you?
Hey, in case you didn't know, y'all, here's President Trump telling the world he's about to stop military people from overseas voting. Yeah, and other service members, workers of the government that work around the world in any capacity. He's withdrawing. You know, he doesn't want these people who fight for the country every day of their life. He doesn't want them to be able to vote if they should just so happen to be out on the front line somewhere. He doesn't want that. Those people that took those submarines at his direction to go and watch Russia because of some threat, your ass need to bring your ass home on that day, on election day, because you won't be able to vote. Everybody, this dude is crazy.
Very off topic, just really quickly. Mail-in ballots are corrupt. Mail-in ballots, you can never have a real democracy with mail-in ballots. And we, as a Republican Party, are going to do everything possible that we get rid of mail-in ballots. We're going to start with an executive order that's being written right now by the best lawyers in the country to end mail-in ballots because they're corrupt. And you know that we're the only country in the world, I believe, I may be wrong, but just about the only country in the world that uses them because of what's happened.
You know, this thing right here, again, it's Fox News that promoted Trump. It's them. They should bear the responsibility for pointing out how ridiculous of a lie that is that Trump just told and how stupid you have to believe have to be to even believe what he just said? Nobody else. The rest of you news people, fuck this, because you know it's not about facts anymore. It's not about facts. It's about fair and unfair. It's about do things the right way or be a criminal and get anything you want. Break the rules, shut down the elections, bring in, a foreigner, pretty much a naturalized immigrant, Elon Musk, to raid your treasury, hack it, do anything you want. Just all these people, Putin, Musk, all these people, you all that enabled this man, you bear the responsibility no matter how this turns out, no matter how it turns out. And I'm going to be the first to tell you, if I was inside of the USA myself, I would be telling Americans the same shit, especially on the left. We are not bowing down to this shit in any way, shape, or form. We're not. We cool. You want to send you want to send the National Guard to our homes? Is that what you want to do? Okay. So what's going to happen after then? You better have another plan, because what you just have done is change things forever. See, blue states have never gone into red states and told people what their cultural values should be. Nah, all we said is leave us the fuck alone. That's all we've ever said, is leave us the fuck alone. Stop taking away women's rights. Stop making women have to die to give birth to a fetus that has a heartbeat that is spilling toxic fumes while it's slowly dying in the mother's body. And she can't even get an abortion, so she's going to fucking die first. You all are evil. You are evil. You are evil. You are evil. You are Stone Age. And this is your leader.
Do you know that we're the only country in the world, I believe, I may be wrong, but just about the only country in the world that uses it because of what's happened. Massive fraud all over the place. The other thing we want changed are the machines. For all of the money they spend, it's approximately 10 times more expensive than paper ballots. And paper ballots are very sophisticated with the watermark paper and everything else. We would get secure elections. We'd get much faster results. The machines, they say we're going to have the results in 2 weeks. With paper ballots, you have the results.
Hey, does Trump have any grandchildren? Put a 1 in the chat. Tell me, does he have any grandchildren? Put a 1 in the chat if he does. Put a 2 in the chat if he doesn't. Put a 1 in the chat if Trump has grandchildren. Put a 2 in the chat if he doesn't. Okay, now let me go see. Let me go see who. I want to find this. 2 seconds. Oh, damn, he got 11 grandchildren? Oh, my God. Hold on now. Whose children are these? What is that? What a shame. Anchor babies. Anchor babies. According to him, basically, yeah, he's married to immigrant women. Right? That's what MAGA people have a problem with that. So, yeah. But now I know. I never see him hold one of his grandchildren. That's what I'm like. Let me see. Where's the picture where he's holding one of them in his hands? Anyway, it's irrelevant. I didn't know, But in any case, anchor babies, according to Trump. And according to Republicans, and thank you all for telling me, because I actually do look at the chat from time to time when I need to know something for sure. But this man is definitely wicked. He's evil. That party are evil. They are evil. They're Christian. They are Christian nationalists, which is basically fake ass. They're not even Christian. They're just racist. You know, the American type that are lunatics and make this false story that they know. You know, they say everything like, Heritage Foundation. You would be like, you think people that use terms like that, Heritage Foundation, you would actually think they have some heritage from the U.S. But I don't think that's actually the case. I don't think that's actually the case. 2 seconds here. Hold on. Did I miss this? I don't think that's the case at all. It must be this one. No. Okay, I didn't add these two. 2 seconds. Let me just make sure I'm adding these two here. Yeah, okay. I think, is it this? Let me see. Right. Okay, now let me do this one. Okay, let me pull this up now.
Trees next.
Y'all see this?
Trees next.
Oh wow, it didn't play out? Okay, sorry, hold on. That was the wrong one? Or was it the right one? Oh, here we go. Here it is. Now I'm gonna pull up. I asked ChatGDP. I wanted to know about the Heritage Foundation, and I've said this a lot of times that they use this name Heritage Foundation, but actually a lot of them have very little heritage, or less than what you would think. Less than what you would think. When people start talking about 1776 and heritage, the first question I ask is, okay, so how far does your family go back? Right. And the reason why I do that is because of racism. Racism has existed in the U.S. since the beginning. So there's a lot of people that actually forget there were really people around at that time. And you can't just say you were around when you weren't. Because there's a lot of people that do have ancestry that were around at that time and are looking at you like, who the fuck do you think you are? And that's how a lot of people look at Trump and the Heritage Foundation, because the way they talk about it, you would think that their families go back that far, and they don't. They don't. They don't.
Got it. I made a clean timeline-style chart that marks the maternal and paternal immigration points with countries for the 3 Heritage founders, plus a dashed line for each founder's birth year for context. Download the chart. Heritage Founders Lineage Chart v2.png. Please open your app to see this link. I also surfaced a small data table in the workspace so you can review or copy it. What's on the chart? Dots equals exact immigration year, e.g. Joseph Coors' paternal line in 1868, Paul Warwick's father in 1923.
That's not old. That's not 1776. No. But my family was around. You see what I'm saying? And there's a lot of Americans that you don't see on TV whose families were around. Yes. And the people like that, they take great offense to people misusing that history for their own personal purposes.
Short bars equals approximate decade when the family arrived, e.g. Edwin Fulner's grandparents in the 1870s on both sides. Italic note equals timing not confirmed from reliable sources, e.g., Joseph Coors' maternal Kistler line. Sources, key points. Founders identified as Paul Weyrich, Edwin Fulner, and Joseph Coors. Wikipedia, Paul Weyrich, Father Ignatius Weyrich, came to the U.S. in 1923, and his mother's parents were Norwegian. Edwin Fulner, grandparents came to America from Germany in the 1870s. Joseph Coors, paternal, grandfather Adolf Coors immigrated from Barmen, Prussia, Germany in 1868.
So the reason why I'm pulling this up is because Trump and MAGA, they try to weaponize this idea. And so I want to let everybody else know that even if your families were not in the country, did not migrate in the country, or were not in the country at the time my family was, in the beginning, before these people here we're talking about to have this Heritage Foundation, you don't have to go back that far to actually understand the values or appreciate the values or be American. You see, and American US for that matter. I'm letting you know that these people are a bunch of frauds. And this is an American speaking to you whose family go on both sides goes back way before this. I'm telling you, these people are frauds and they're imposters, and they're wearing the cloak of the U.S. flag and the founding fathers and the Constitution and all of that shit, but really have no real claim over it. Then you can see, what claim can you have when your family wasn't here? I mean, it's just really simple. I can't claim to be Danish just because I live in Denmark. Even if I came here, they have terms like first and second generation that people use over here in Denmark because it's not that they want to protect their culture. They want to acknowledge it. You know, they want to acknowledge their culture and what it means. There's some differences there. You see what I mean? And these guys, Trump, he's like he would be considered at best a third generation. In Denmark, that's not really going to fly necessarily. No, that doesn't really fly. That doesn't really fly. And it's okay to not be from Denmark and live in Denmark. You don't have to pretend, because Danes aren't stupid. They understand the world. They know who Americans are, who Germans are, who French people are, who Nigerians are, who they have their own relationship with the world. So they don't have to put things in such simple terms, right? But in the United States, these people like to pretend like there's something they're not. And they do it to try to get people to vote for them, poor white folks to vote for them, who they rob the entire time and pimp out the entire time and gaslight the entire time. That is what the Republican Party is, a gaslit party, manipulated easily by simpleton talk and fraud and fakeness, putting simple ideas together with, claiming to be something that you're not, right?
Note on Coors' maternal side, the Kistler family appears to be of Swiss-German origin, but I couldn't confirm a specific U.S. immigration year from high-quality sources quickly. So the chart labels it as year unknown rather than guessing.
And see, the reason why I'm getting to this point is because I want to let you know that no matter how many generations your family has been in the U.S., you're still American. And in this fight, we are going to have to lock arms against these simpleton fuck ups that are fake and frauds and sellouts to the United States of America. Like, seriously. So no matter if you're white, if you're black, if you're Asian, if you're Hispanic, or whatever the hell you are, and you live in that country, no matter if you're straight, gay, whatever the hell, no matter if your family came from, no matter if you it just doesn't even matter. Christian, Jew, Muslim, whatever. No, whatever. Seriously. When it comes to this democracy shit, we are going to have to stand together and fight these goddamn people. Like, seriously. Seriously. No matter who you are, don't take shit from these people, because The longer we make this shit go on, the more at risk people will become, you know. So understand this. The Democratic Party is fighting a good fight legally. We have a lot of support in the courts. Our representatives in our country, in our states, prospective states are doing a great job legally. But me being a person from Washington, D.C., I'm going to tell you my story. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I myself tagged Mayor Bowser myself in a post where I outlined that after January, I'm sorry, what the hell? January 6th, yeah. On January 6th, the DC police and the federal government failed to protect the city, not just the Capitol building. They allowed people to plan an attack on a structure in Washington, D.C., and that affects the safety and the security of every resident. And so at that point, I was like, yo, they have to allow people in D.C. to have militias now and to lax up on some of the gun laws. Even though it sounds wild, it sounds like, why would you lax up on the gun laws? This is why. This is why you would want to. This is why, because what they have done is now, unexpectedly, they had Trump now try to take over the police. You see, he's sent Marines and military to the city. They're trying to take over police. You don't know who works for these people. You don't know if some of these people are first generation, second generation Americans wearing these masks, right? You don't even know if they're Americans. They're being allowed to wear a mask. They're being allowed to ride around in unmarked cars. They're being allowed to take people out of the United States of America who are citizens. They're being allowed to do a lot. And yes, that has threatened people's actual safety. People's lives. People have lost lives due to their mistakes. And so now I'm getting somewhere with this. And now, basically, DC has military all over it and other Republicans claiming that they want to send their National Guard there. Okay. But no matter what they have made very clear is that people on the left have to start understanding the United States in a different way. And that is, we need to all be armed. We need to all be armed and understand that they will try this again. See, this shit ain't going to go on forever. But the question is, have they crossed the line already? And of course they've crossed the line. Of course they've crossed the line. And they're telling you they're going to cross the line again, too. If you let them just cross the line this time, they're going to do it again. You see? So however long it takes, if you're in any other state and these National Guard are not here, but I would say prepare yourself. Buy your weapons and protect your own communities. Like, seriously, do not let these people just disappear anybody. Do not let these people go around with masks. And you mask up. Everybody should mask up. Everyone should mask up. Old people, young people, the more people mask up, rich, poor, the more people mask up, the more it will illegitimize their wearing their mask. The more it will actually become an issue, you see, that forces them to reveal themselves or not. Right? The Democrat Party is fighting a good legal fight, but this is obviously something that the Supreme Court has said Trump can do anything. He can threaten, he can kill anyone. That is what the Supreme Court has given Trump the right to do. Kill anyone with impunity, with no responsibility whatsoever. That is the message being sent out. And they're proving it every day, because where are they accountable? Where is he being held accountable for some of the lives that have already been lost? Where is he being accountable? Look, what's going to happen right now is in DC, you know what they're doing? No businesses, no local businesses can make any money because people are afraid to go out on the street. People are fucking afraid to go to restaurants. That's what they're reporting. That's what they're reporting. And I can see why. Because they're actually on the street stopping everybody. People don't want to fucking be harassed. Why would you go outside if all of a sudden anything can happen to you and no one takes responsibility? Remember this. January 6th happened and they did not stop it. They failed to protect the Capitol. They failed. They failed. I mean, sure, at the last line where they shot that woman who tried to break into the chamber. Yeah, they defended that area. That was the last line. But look at the MAGA people. They're all like, he shouldn't have shot her. You see? So the message is that they're just coming. They're going to come for everybody. And you hear it. You hear Trump. So everybody, no matter all your intersections, people have to basically make other plan together in their states, because they are going to try to rob and steal this country from just Americans. They're going to try to change the Constitution, stop the Constitution, destroy the Constitution, destroy law and order in this country. That is what they're doing. They may not say that's what they're doing. It doesn't even matter if they mean it. The effect is that they're creating disorder. And they're not creating it just by accident. They're not creating it by accident.
I love seeing this country be great again. And Vladimir said just a little while ago, he said, I've never seen anybody do so much so fast. He said, your country is like hot as a pistol. And a year ago, he thought it was dead. I love seeing this country be great again. And
so what do you think Vladimir Putin would say about Trump sending the National Guard into American cities? What do you think Vladimir Putin would say about the military, the Marines being sent to American cities? What do you think Vladimir Putin would say if Trump said, you know what, military should be allowed to take any American and never return them, and they shouldn't have to tell anyone? What would Trump say if Vladimir Putin thought that? What would Trump say if Vladimir Putin said, you know what, I think all you Americans are shit? What would Trump say? Would Trump say, yeah? He would love it. Trump would love that. And that's exactly what you're getting. And we have to get past the point where we stop trying to give people excuses. Stop trying to pretend like this man is not seriously in a very bad way inside of those Epstein files. Just stop trying to pretend it. And stop trying to pretend there's not something else more to this relationship with Vladimir Putin and Trump that is dangerous. Just stop trying to pretend. Fuck the Constitution. Look, if you hear my song, I got a song called War. They Want War. It's a song I play at the beginning, right? Don't get me wrong. It's an old song. It's a song you won't even realize that this song was written in like almost 20 years ago, that song, They Want War. But it's something inside of it that I say. So I've changed. My views have changed a lot since that time. 20 years ago, I wasn't as smart as I am today. But in that song, I say they used the Constitution to explain all these fuck ups. And this is what's going on right now. They're actually claiming that what he is doing is somehow not within the Constitution, but the mere act of you saying, okay, now we'll take you to court. Oh, you did this illegal. Let's take it to the Supreme Court. And then that will take months. And then the Supreme Court says you have to do that. Well, you know that Trump The average person should not have to bear the weight of all of those unclear founded choices being made, and that's the thing about it. And through this, they're explaining it as part of the constitutional process. The fucking constitutional process is not being correctly followed in the first place. The Supreme Court should have shot this down a long time ago, but they gave the door to immunity to the president. So anything that he claims he's doing, he can get away with it. This man, it's not by accident he's talking this way. He reveres this dude, and that is definitely going to be trouble for the United States of America, its military, and everyone else. This is danger. Don't be fooled by what the media may not be able to say legally. No, there's a big problem. And what you're likely seeing right now is part of that big problem. MAGA people, you supported this guy. You should be the ones that solve this problem. You should be the ones that solve this problem, actually, because Putin wants the United States in a civil war. That's what's going on right now. Someone trying to provoke one with the guidance of Vladimir Putin. That's what's going on. If you ask me, my opinion. Prodding at it, just keep crossing boundaries, This is not just like something he's stumbling onto from the left into the right day after day. No.
You pushed out on social media.
Brian, go first.
You pushed out on social media about doing away with mail-in ballots and potentially electronic voting machines. Can you expand on that and how important that is?
Well, that's a very off-topic.
This is an attack on the military right there. So all the people in the military that are out risking their lives, this dude doesn't give a fuck about. This guy doesn't give a fuck about. For him, first of all, you don't give a fuck about your country to even be talking this way. Basically, y'all, all the Western countries allow mail-in voting. Just in case you don't know, they may have different rules and different reasonings, different descriptions for why they allow it, but they all basically make exceptions for it in some way, shape, or form. And most of the time, it's pretty just as broad as the U.S. one. And the U.S. one isn't even broad. It's for military. It's for other people that maybe are in school, right? You go to school abroad. Why should you have to learn? You lose your voting rights. If you work and you're not a citizen of another country and you're American, but you work overseas in an American corporation, why should you not be allowed to vote? So this is an attack just across the board. Just those words alone, and people are putting up with this bullshit.
Just really quickly.
And they're putting up with this bullshit under the guise of what? This is just how the Constitution. I'm following the Constitution. The Constitution's working. So no one has fucked over the Constitution. No, the Supreme Court hasn't done more damage to the Constitution by giving Trump immunity than anything else ever could, right? That's not what's happening. They have destroyed the Constitution. That's why you're witnessing this.
Mail-in ballots are corrupt. Mail-in ballots, you can never have a real democracy with mail-in ballots. And we, as a Republican Party, are going to do everything possible that we get rid of mail-in ballots. We're going to start with an executive order that's being written right now by the best lawyers in the country to end.
Hey, Australia, thanks. I see you in the house, and I'm listening. Anybody else, everybody in every other Western nation, I want to say this to you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. Thank you for seeing this lunatic for what he is. And thank you for actually protecting us Americans that are abroad, for understanding, for not being so hostile towards us, for accepting us. This motherfucker is hostile, and it's not us. You see what the problem is. Putin is the problem. You know it.
Mail-in ballots because they're corrupt and Do you know that we're the only country in the world, I believe, I may be wrong, but just about the only country in the world that uses them because of what's happened. Massive fraud all over the place. The other thing we want change are the machines. For all of the money they spend, it's approximately 10 times more expensive than paper ballots. And paper ballots are very sophisticated with the watermark paper and everything else. We would get secure elections. We'd get much faster results. The machines.
Listen to how Trump talks. Keep in mind, this is after he met with Putin, right? This is after he met with Putin. Now, listen to this. This is ridiculous. You see how he knows so much about about ballots already. Now he knows so much about it. Listen to how detailed he talked about it. But before it was like this.
Oh, Vladimir Putin said something, one of the most interesting things. He said your election was rigged because you have mail-in voting.
Look, he just thought about this shit 2 days ago. 2 days ago, he just thought about this shit, and now he's giving a lecture on this shit in the Oval Office. Mail-in matters. Did you know mail-in ballots?
On social media about doing away with mail-in ballots and potentially electronic voting machines. Can you expand on that and how important that is?
Well, that's a very off-topic, just really quickly. Mail-in ballots are corrupt. Mail-in ballots, you can never have a real democracy with mail-in ballots. And
He went from one day to, well, Vladimir told me, and now he's the one telling people, did you know you can't have elections with ballots, mail-in ballots? Did you know that?
It's possible that we get rid of mail-in ballots. We're going to start with an executive order that's being written right now by the best lawyers in the country to end mail.
That was fast, all the way to executive order. Damn, that's just like 3 days. Why? 3 days went by, all because who said it?
I love seeing this country be great again. And Vladimir said just a little while ago, he said, I've never.
Because Vladimir said it. Because Vladimir said it. That's what you get. That's the best you go get. Sure, let's just change our voting process because Vladimir said it. You know, I could trust Vladimir. He's on Vladimir's nuts. And I think it's all of the above. I think it's blackmail. I think it's on his nuts too. Because of course, if you wasn't on his nuts in the first place, you could never be in a position to be blackmailed, right? So I'm pretty sure it's both, right? He's on his nuts and blackmailed, right? So, and obviously, come on, you could put 2 and 2 together. The man was in Russia going to these events, pageants, and all of this shit. The man is out there talking about grabbing by the pussy. You could put 2 and 2 together. He's the best friend of Jeffrey Epstein, the most prolific pedophile and sex trafficker. Come on, y'all. Like, you can't put it together? You can't put it together? Yeah, but I'm just telling everybody, if you pick up a gun to defend yourself or to defend your home, I ain't mad at you. Like, flat out. You know, I'm just saying that because this is some crazy shit. This is some crazy shit. This is the latest polling from the Pew Research Center, right? %22 net approval rating for Trump. That's how far it's sunk. 68% black Americans hate this motherfucker. 43% down. Look, 68% down. It's even down from where it was before. It was already like, hold on, with black Americans, it was, I said that wrong. Right, let me get this right. With black Americans, it was 80-something% favored Kamala Harris. That means they didn't support Trump. And now it's down. I mean, how can you even go 68% down with African Americans? How can you even do that? It was already down. Hispanics, -43. Whites, the people that identify themselves as whites, right? -5. I don't know why that is. Is that because outside of the U.S., the white people hate this motherfucker? Let me see something, you know, quote unquote. But I'm serious, man. They hate this motherfucker. Like, really, nobody gets his. No one get. Even the Nazis over here are like, God damn, what the fuck? What do? You sell out your own country just to be a Nazi? What the fuck? You walked in Putin just to be a Nazi? What the fuck? That's what they're saying. They're like, yo, they have limits to how far they'll go in Europe. They don't go that low. They're going to sell out their whole country just to bring in some Nazism shit. You know what I'm saying? Or some authority. This is really ridiculous. But in the USA, yeah, women minus 28%, men minus 13%. Now, those data I can believe. Now, let me tell you, women 28%, that's going to hurt Trump. That's going to hurt Trump. That right there, if nothing else does, that one is going to hurt Trump. And you could best believe he doesn't want this election to happen, and him and Vladimir Putin are plotting a plan to make sure it does not happen. Because Putin wants the country to go into civil war. Stopping an election or tampering with an election could ignite one. Sending the military and the National Guard out into states could ignite one. All things good for Putin. And who said it?
Never seen anybody do so much so fast. He said your country is like hot as a pistol, and a year ago he thought it was dead.
See, Putin says it's hot as a pistol. That means he agrees with everything Trump is doing. He's for it. He's promoting it. He's like, yeah, wow, man, I'm really impressed, man. You're doing the USA very good, Trump. What's the word? I see you. You're doing very good, Trump. You're oppressing Americans. That's great. I won't stop you. I've never seen that done faster.
Seeing this country be great again. And Vladimir said just a little while ago, he said, I've never seen anybody do so much so fast. He said your country is like hot as a pistol, and a year ago he thought it was dead. I love seeing this country be great again. And Vladimir said just a little while ago, he said, I've never seen anybody do so much so fast. He said your country is like hot as a pistol.
Who? Hold on. Do you think Trump made that part up? He said your country is hot as a pistol, or did Putin say that? Did Putin really say it was hot as a pistol? What do y'all think? Put one in the chat if you think Putin really said your country's hot as a pistol. Put a one in the chat if you think Putin really said your country is hot as a pistol. Do you think Trump made that up? Oh, this is just pathetic. I got to play this one more time before I go to the next one.
Oh, Vladimir Putin said something, one of the most interesting.
I'm only playing it because it has to start off with, well, Vladimir Putin said this and Vladimir Putin said that. You know, this is Maga's Jesus Christ figure.
Interesting things. He said your election was rigged because you have mail-in voting. He said mail-in voting, every election. He said no country has mail-in voting. It's impossible to have mail-in voting and have...
Hey, I put it to you like this. Military people, if you do not shut this dude down, you will not have a vote. All right? It's just very simple. The man has threatened your voting rights. Okay? And threatened everybody else's. So, okay, we're going to see. We're going to see how far that goes. Yeah. And let me ask you guys a question. Why do you think Trump always needs to try to change the elections and how they work? Every time he's in office, the next election, he wants to change how it works. The last time, he didn't want the election to run the way it went. And he didn't want anything else to happen. It's crazy. And now he's doing the same thing again. Why do you think that is? All right. On that note, there is somebody that's been standing up, and I like the energy. And, like I said, I'm not a bigot, so I don't really care about the ethnic background or how long you've been in the country. All of that shit. To me, being American is about values. And, you either get it or you don't. And these MAGA people definitely are not typical American values at all. They're like a strain that has deviated off from the main tree, essentially. And they are like a highly nationalistic, ignorant, racist type of Christianized group, right? And they don't want, in their belief, women shouldn't vote, things like this. Therefore, women shouldn't also have the right to their bodies to have an abortion. This kind of stuff, they're fused in with that. And, I'm talking about the lower classes of them. The elites of them, of course, they know they're lying and just manipulating these people, but they're a whole nother breed. They're in a different tax bracket, right? But this dude right here is really got the energy I think a lot of Americans need to adapt. And this is Gavin Newsom. And obviously he's the governor of California. And big up to California, because people are standing up in California and shit is not pretty in California. They have destroyed California just like they're pretty much destroying DC, And I hope, I pray to the gods, that the rest of the states that are blue don't go for this shit. Like, don't go for it. Stand up, prepare right now. Buy all the weapons you need to buy. Prepare yourselves. Create all the laws you need to create. Get ready, because these people are definitely coming, and they're coming in an insidious thing, because they want to ignite a civil war in the country, because that's what Vladimir Putin wants of Trump. He's wanted that the whole time, right? That was the whole purpose, to put the U.S. in chaos from the inside. That's the whole point. That's why it's a particular type of attack on the United States of America. So, but I like Gavin Newsom's swag on this. So let's read a little bit. This is one of his posts from yesterday. Donald Tiny Hands has written his autobiography this morning. Unfortunately, low IQ, he spelled it wrong. Beta. Soon you will be fired, Beta, because of my perfect, beautiful maps. Thank you for your attention to this matter. GCN. Did y'all see Trump's post? Bella. What the hell? This dude is crazy. Putin is telling him, like, yeah, your country's really hot. This dude is out here like, yeah, Bella. Like, what the fuck is this? What is this? This supposed to be a damn president? Like, this is crazy. This is crazy. But in any case, Gavin Newsom don't give a fuck about you, Trump. All right? God bless California. Kick these motherfuckers in the ass. Undermine them in every way, shape, or form. Treat them how they treat you. Break the rules just like they break the rules. Yeah, I like that. To me, that's what it sounded like anyway, yeah. And let's start it off. Let's do a little bit of this too. Everybody chant with me. Fuck Donald Trump. 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 And we are going to kick your asses. You monkeys that want to sign up for this, for these little jobs to go to states that you don't come from and try to tell people what their culture should be. Who is an American, who's not an American just by sight, you racially profiling fucking bigots. This is the word for you too. You also get this word. Fuck you. Fuck Donald Trump. Fuck Donald Trump. Fuck Donald Trump. Fuck Donald Trump. Yeah, because we're not goddamn stupid. And you know what? We may have empathy for other human beings. We may be civilized. But you know what? If you these people are making it impossible to be civilized. They want to put people in fear. They want to brutalize people. They're doing it on purpose because Trump wants to create a civil war. That's the plan that Putin has had the whole time, to create chaos from within by brutalizing people, by misusing the law, right? By putting the military on the public, which the public is not used to. These things obviously make a reaction. So nobody in any blue state or any other state should be worried about how they react to Donald Trump. Protect yourselves, because he is using the military, dumb motherfuckers who have already been told he's thinking about canceling your vote. These dumb motherfuckers are still showing up. Like, damn, you are pathetic. You're pathetic. Don't you know sometimes it's time to quit a fucking job? What the fuck? God damn. Don't you know that's what happened in World War II? People just following fucking orders. And I'm not. I respect the military too. I have friends that's been in the military. Family members been in the military. Father was in the military. Come on. But what I'm saying is that this is bullshit.
Adam Schiff of California, as well as New York Attorney General Letitia James. Attorney General Pam Bondi appointed Martin, a conservative activist and former interim U.S. attorney for Washington, D.C., as a special attorney to look into the two Trump critics. Martin spoke to Fox News about the investigations over the weekend in an interview on Fox News.
So it is supposed to be against the Constitution to attack people based on their political party affiliation. It's supposed to be illegal. But apparently, the Supreme Court hasn't had enough time to stop shoving ice cream cake down their fucking throats or up their asses, the men primarily, to get around to making a ruling or a judgment or just a statement, even a statement. You know what I'm saying? They're too busy. You know, we know Clarence Thomas is too busy on somebody's jet right now. And the other ones are just fucking stubborn. Two stubborn fucking men that just can't admit they fucked up out of being politically biased. You know, just stupid pride, stupid, ignorant pride. You see what I mean? And possibly also selling out to some handouts. You never know. But it could also be some Jeffrey Epstein shit. You never know. You never know. Because these men side against women on the Supreme Court every fucking day of the week. So you never know. That's what I mean by mental bias too. It could be that too. But that's not supposed to be found in the Supreme Court. Although there's loads of it you could see. This is why you have a president who's a 34-time convicted felon, whose best friend was the most prolific pedophile and sex trafficker in the United States. That's how you get that. So now they want to not just, see, they're attacking on all fronts people for political affiliation. So that's what this is. Make no mistake about it. So Canada, every other Western country, everybody sees that's what that is. That's authoritarianism. The whole world sees that people are going out and pretty much stopping. These people are hunting down folks based on their ethnic profile, specifically. You see, based on their color. Everyone sees that is what is going on. The sandwich man who smacked the dude in the face, he ain't even get maced. Yeah, it's little kids in DC just videotaping what they're doing to other people getting maced.
We're going to go to the very bottom of the facts. And if somebody did something wrong, we're not only going to hold them accountable, we're also going to look at everything else that they've been doing. Because when you're a liar, you lie.
All of this to protect pedophiles. All of this to distract people from the Epstein tapes. They are so scared of people knowing who the pedophiles are in the Epstein files that they would do all of this other shit. All of this other shit. And they're just going on and on and on with the fucking charade like nobody sees it.
Look, man, if you still think he's playing 4D chess, I hate to break it to you, the guy's barely playing checkers. And he's eating the pieces. I mean, come on, how much horse shit before you realize your alpha male is just an 80-year-old dude with early dementia spray tanning his face at 3 a.m. while rage tweeting about Rosie. So here's what I don't get. He's been sitting on the Epstein files this whole time, and every time someone brings it up, suddenly there's some brand new emergency. Putin gets to keep part of Ukraine. Job numbers are fake.
I mean, this is like Trump on repeat. This is what Trump always does. He just keeps going in a circle, round and round and round. And a lot of people keep following him in that circle because obviously, news has to follow that circle, round in a circle. So Trump's going to run them around in a circle. Politicians to some degree have to, because obviously they have to compete according to the law. And Democrats do because they have to address every matter that comes out of this psychopath's mouth, right? This narcissistic psychopath's mouth. So they have to do it. But the everyday citizen needs to do their part. And that means in the states where it's legal to buy guns, buy your goddamn guns now before Trump makes the law different. Because that's what authoritarians do. You see what I'm saying? Like straight up. This motherfucker is about to stop you from buying guns. He's going to try it. So just go ahead and get some. Just go ahead and get some, and get some bullets too. And get some masks. Also, get some masks because, this is basically what this is what he's going to manifest. I mean, you can wait for it. You can wait to figure it out until they're at your door, dragging away your family member. You can.
Let's investigate Letitia James. Investigate Jack Smith. It's like, dude, just release the files. If your name's not in there, you'd think you'd want everyone to see them, right? But instead, it's constant shiny distractions, while the one thing that matters just stays locked up. Look, man, if you still think he's playing 4D chess, I hate to break it to you, the guy's barely playing checkers. And he's eating the pieces. I mean, come on, how much horse shit before you realize your alpha male is just an 80-year-old dude with early dementia spray tanning his face at 3 a.m. while rage tweeting about Rosie. So,
there's somebody, who the hell is in the chat talking about they hacking into, is this fake? This is American Muscle. Is this fake? Okay, as a United States Marine Corporal, CPL E4. Hold on, let me see this real quick. Let me just copy this. Boom. Can I copy it? Yeah. Thank you. Now, this is so funny. Look at this. Look at this. Okay. I am now hacking into this scum's account because he's so proud to commit a crime. That's what I mean. American Muscle. American Muscle. Fuck you. You're no more American than me. American Muscle. You're no more American than me. You're not better than me. So if you think you have the right to commit a crime against me, you must think you're better than me. And you're a piece of shit. You want to go around threatening people. Look at this. You are done. You are done. You are done. You see these maggots? You are done. You are done. Cooked. Bye. Why are you leaving? I'm not. You could be here and talk your little racist shit. Go ahead. Talk your little racist shit, pig. I don't even know if this is a real, but this is probably a Russian. You know, these fucking hacks. You see that? You see that? But this is their thing. They want to bully everybody. That's why I tell you, go get your fucking guns. Yo, get your gun before Trump all of a sudden has an executive order that stops you from buying your guns. Flat out. That's what I'm telling you. And it's because of people like this that want to threaten people. He thinks he's more American than me, and he will actually try to kill me because of it. That's how sick these motherfuckers are. That's how sick they are. Look at that. And this is the dumbest ass thing. Racist. My wife is Asian. Oh, wow. Wow. So you can't be a racist and married to an Asian? What the fuck? What are you talking about, you dumbass? Secondly, you threatened me. Fuck you. You threatened another American's life, you piece of shit. You're not better than me. Let me stay here, American. Stay here, American muscle. Let me tell you one thing for sure. You are not better than me. You're not better. You're not more American than me. You have no more right than me. You just don't. You can have your opinion, but the moment you ever threaten me, I'm going to defend myself. Okay? So I have that right too. Don't ever forget it. Okay? You may not agree with my opinion, but all you can do is just shut the fuck up and understand it's my opinion. But when you start trying to threaten people, you show you're the lesser man. You know, because all you try to do is threaten people to do what you want them to do. What do you threaten your fucking woman like that? I'm not your woman, you pig. I hope she don't take it either. Okay. Now let's go on. Look at him. Now he's like, the video is AI. The Rogan video is AI. You see?
Here's what
this is a Russian bot.
He's been sitting on the Epstein files this whole time.
Let's play
and every time someone brings it up, suddenly there's some brand new emergency. Part of Ukraine.
And now you see them, they're so deluded there and there. Joe Rogan never said this. This is AI. Oh, really? Okay.
Or a cooperating defendant by some chance against some potential case against Ghislaine Maxwell. And I think Mark Garagos, as a great criminal defense attorney, will back that up as well.
Yeah, let's go through what American Muscle, Macho Man, let's go through all the hits that he's going to call AI.
And if people in that report are still fighting to keep their names private, Sean, they have no legal basis to do so unless they're a child, a victim, or a cooperating defendant by some chance against some potential case against Ghislaine Maxwell. And I think Mark Garagos, as a great criminal defense attorney, will back that up as well. And if people in that report are still fighting to keep their names private, Sean, they have...
So, maggots, is this AI? Mr. American, Macho Man American, is this AI? Maggot. Muscle maggot. Muscle American maggot. Is this AI? Is this AI?
They have no legal basis to do so unless they're a child, a victim, or a cooperating defendant by some chance against some potential case against Ghislaine Maxwell. And I think Mark Garagos, as a great criminal defense attorney, will back that up as well. Or a cooperating defendant by some chance.
He doesn't, it's like this is what is up with Maga. Everything gets to be whatever it needs to be just for them in that particular moment. These people, they're all protecting the pedophiles. Basically, that's what Trump is doing, and he's selling the country out, and he's down with Putin. And you don't need anyone else to tell you. You don't need CNN to tell you or MSNBC. You don't need anyone to tell you. It's out there in the open. It's out there in the open. It's in the open. It just took a little bit of time before he got comfortable enough to start saying weird ass things. I mean, every time with Trump, you just let it go on and on and on, and it just gets more revealing, more weird. I mean, it's really crazy, but he will tell you the truth. It's like what they say about alcohol. You give a man enough alcohol, which is Trump. You put him in a seat and give him a little bit of praise. That's like alcohol to him, and he will tell you the truth.
I love seeing this country be great again. And Vladimir said just a little while ago, he said, I've never seen anybody do so much so fast. He said, your country is like hot as a pistol. And a year ago, he thought it was dead. I love seeing this country be great again. And Vladimir said just a little while ago, he said, I've never seen anybody.
Is this AI musclehead, American musclehead? Is this AI? What the heck? What the man is spelling it out to you. He works for Putin. Just get it through your thick goddamn head. Okay? Shit. What the heck, man? You all just like keep it really complex and rolling, It's like what the heck?
Vladimir Putin said something. One of the most interesting things, he said, your election was rigged because you have mail-in voting. He said mail-in voting every election. He said no country has mail-in voting. It's impossible to have mail-in voting and have honest elections. And he said that to me. It was very interesting because we talked about 2020. He said, you won that election by so much. And that's how he got it. He said, and if you would have won, we wouldn't have had a war. You'd have all.
So is this perverting the clip? Was that perverting the clip? Somebody just wrote that in the chat. No, it's you perverting the clip. Look at this. Who said that? Let me find that. Anyway, I don't know who wrote that, but was that perverting the clip? Let the whole clip play. I mean, damn, the clip is self-explanatory. It covers a lot.
Millions of people alive now instead of dead. And he said, and you Putin said something.
The man is explaining a whole thought here. This is a whole thought, and then he qualifies it with another thought. Listen.
Putin said something. One of the most interesting things. He said your election was rigged because you have mail-in voting. He said mail-in voting every election. He said no country has mail-in voting. It's impossible to have mail-in voting and have honest elections. And he said that to me. It was very interesting because we talked about 2020. He said, you won that election by so much. And that's how he got it. He said, and if you would have won, we wouldn't have had a war. You'd have all these millions of people alive now instead of dead. And he said, and you lost it because of mail-in voting. It was a rigged election, but mail.
You see? So he's telling you where he got the idea from. That was 3 days ago from his conversation with Vladimir Putin. And now he's explaining it to the media how it's going to work.
You pushed out on social media.
Brian, go first.
You pushed out on social media about doing away with mail-in ballots and potentially electronic voting machines. Can you expand on that and how important
Well,
that is?
that's a very off-topic, just really quickly. Mail-in ballots are corrupt. Mail-in ballots, you can never have a real democracy with mail-in ballots. And we, as a Republican Party, are going to do everything possible that we get rid of mail-in ballots. We're going to start with an executive order that's being written right now by the best lawyers in the country to end mail-in ballots because they're corrupt. And you know that we're the only country in the world, I believe, I may be wrong, but just about the only country in the world that uses them because of what's happened. Massive fraud all over the place. The other thing we want change are the machines. For all of the money they spend, it's approximately 10 times more expensive than paper ballots. And paper ballots are very sophisticated with the watermark paper and everything else. We would get secure elections. We'd get much faster results. The machines, I mean, they say we're going to have the results in 2 weeks. With paper ballots, you have the results that night. Most people, but most people, many countries use paper ballots. It's the most secure form. So between paper ballots, very, very important, paper ballots, and I think maybe even more important, the mail-in voting. We're going to end mail-in voting. It's a fraud. If you have mail-in vote, even Jimmy Carter with this commission, they set it up. He said the one thing about mail-in voting, you will never have an honest election if you have mail-in. And it's time that the Republicans get tough and stop it, because the Democrats.
Gilberto Moran, yes, exactly. American Muscle. Do you get your roids from Russia or Thailand? Asking for a friend. Exactly. Thank you very much. This dude is out of his mind. Listen, and also to anybody that thinks I'm doing something to pervert the videos, I don't understand. These are whole thoughts. He's committing the verbal diarrhea himself. These are whole thoughts. The first video where he tells you how he got the idea was from 3 days ago when he was meeting with Putin. Putin was telling him this and that about voting, and that the whole war could have been stopped if you got rid of mail-in voting, right? And then Putin also told him that the election was rigged because of mail-in voting. He explains it all on video himself, and then he goes and he qualifies it after in the same statement. And now you're watching another video that's 3 days after that one where he's telling you how it's going to work. I don't see what I'm doing to pervert that. It's very plain to see. The whole setup is right here. He is directing Trump, and he has done this numerous times and various times throughout this whole time you've known Trump. It's like flat out. They're involved with Trump. They have been the whole time. Get it through your thick head.
Oh, Vladimir Putin said something, one of the most interesting things. He said your election was rigged because you have mail-in voting. He said mail-in voting, every election. He said no country has mail-in voting. It's impossible to have mail-in voting and have honest elections. And he said that to me. It was very interesting because we talked about 2020. He said, you won that election by so much. And that's how he got it. He said, and if you would have won, we wouldn't have had a war. You'd have all these millions of people alive now instead of dead. And he said, and you lost it because of mail-in voting. It was a rigged election. But Vladimir Putin said something.
I mean, that was 4 days ago. That was 3 days ago. And this was last night.
You pushed out on social media.
Brian, go first.
You pushed out on social media about doing away with mail-in ballots and potentially electronic voting machines. Can you expand on that and how important
Well,
that is?
that's a very off-topic, just really quickly. Mail-in ballots are corrupt. Mail-in ballots, you can never have a real democracy with mail-in ballots. And we, as a Republican Party, are going to do everything possible that we get rid of mail-in.
Yeah, Deborah, he does vote by mail. Exactly.
Ballots. We're going to start with an executive order that's being written right now by the best lawyers in the country to end mail-in ballots because they're corrupt. And
so he just heard it from Putin 2 days ago, 3 days ago, tops, right? When he was in Alaska. And now he's here explaining to you that he's got the best lawyers working on it now, the best lawyers in the country, and they're going to eliminate it. And yeah, he's telling the press that, and he's explaining how it's going to work and why the whole thing. That's what he's doing right here.
How important
Well, this is a very off-topic, just really quickly. Mail-in ballots are corrupt. Mail-in ballots, you can never.
All right, can y'all hear me? Put a one in the chat if you can hear me.
With mail-in ballots.
Sorry about that.
We, as a Republican Party, are going to do everything possible.
Yeah, put a one in the chat if you can hear me. Yeah, exactly. I had to reboot real quick. Let me play this. Well, I think I illustrated the point here, and it shouldn't be complex. And I understand the playing stupid idea that prolongs some sort of understanding from being, understood. But anyone who's being real about it can see very clearly that this man, Trump, just explained to you how he gets his ideas. He's demonstrated it as well. He can sit in a car, have a conversation with Putin about your constitution or about your voting, and he will take what Putin says verbatim as truth and come back and recite it to the American people through the American media. Fox, MSNBC, CNN, and anybody else, Wall Street Journal, and also just the world, YouTube, goddamn, TikTok, he's everywhere, right? It's recited to the world. People in the most remote parts of the world saw Trump say this, and all of them are thinking like, is this motherfucker stupid? Like, and the other ones are saying, yo, man, if I was a military person and my president started talking about stopping me from voting, I could no longer support him anymore because, see, he's not even supposed to utter words that come even remotely close to that. But he does regularly, on the norm, on the regular, he does. And because he does that and gets away with it, that is what reality is. That's just it, and he's going to make everybody else's reality function around him. And when that happens with a sociopath, you're going to live every bit of the chaos out because all he cares about is himself. This man has a sociopathic relationship that he's developed with Vladimir Putin. And this man can insert thoughts into his mind anytime he talks to him. And Trump will go play it out. It's like the Manchurian Candidate. This is the Manchurian Candidate. Except they were a little biased when they made it and gave you the idea that they talking about Hillary Clinton or some shit like that, a woman. No, this is the Manchurian Candidate. That's exactly what Trump is. And of course, now the rules have to be different for everybody because of that, and people are just going to have to fend for themselves. But on this note, I'm just about the blue people. People that support Trump, I'm not fucking with you anymore. I'm not fucking with you. Because now, before it was about the conversations and the understanding, but now it's more about I need to be together with the left and really just support the left, in anything that we have to do to survive. Because it is very clear that this man that you support hates other Americans and is looking to start a civil war. He is looking for that. This man is looking for that because all Vladimir Putin has to do is tell him to do it, and he will do it. Just like you saw him do.
Love seeing this country be great again. And Vladimir said just a little while ago, he said, I've never seen anybody do so much so fast. He said, your country is like hot as a pistol. And,
so he's saying, accelerate what you're doing. Accelerate what you're doing. What you're doing is working. Trump, what you're doing is exactly right. Accelerate it. That's basically what he's saying, and of course he's the enemy. He hates the United States. So, it's like, anything that's going to help destroy it, he's all for it. He's not going to say, yay, 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 yay. Thank you, Trump. I really needed that. Thank you. No, because he's manipulating Trump. He's just going to say, hey, sounds like a cool idea to me, man. You're pretty smart. Wow, I'm not surprised you came up with that idea. It sounds perfectly normal to me. And Trump is going to go out there and do it. That's what Trump is going to do.
Vladimir Putin said something, one of the most interesting things. He said your election was rigged because you have mail-in voting. He said mail-in voting every election.
He said Vladimir Putin 3 days ago, right after he came out of Alaska, he went to talk to Sean Hannity. And he said, Vladimir Putin said
something, one of the most interesting things. He said your election was rigged because you have mail-in voting.
Vladimir Putin told Trump that the election was rigged because of mail-in voting. According to Trump, that's Trump's own words.
He said mail-in voting every election. He said no country has mail-in voting.
He told him, Vladimir Putin told Trump, no country has mail-in voting.
It's impossible to have mail-in voting and have honest elections.
Vladimir Putin told Trump it's impossible to have mail-in voting and have free and fair elections.
And he said that to me. It was very interesting because we talked about 2020. He said,
and Trump says he told him that. That was very interesting to Trump.
2020. He said, you won that election by so much.
He said that Trump won the election by so much, the 2021 election.
And that's how he got it. He said, and if you would have won,
or
we
2020
wouldn't have had a war. You'd have.
And Putin says, if Trump would have won, we wouldn't have had a war.
All these millions of people alive.
And none of these millions of people's lives would have been lost.
People alive now instead of dead.
A lot of people would have been alive now instead of dead. And look at Trump. Does Trump believe it? He seems emotional, right? He seems like he's really connecting with that message.
And he said, and you lost it because of mail-in voting.
And he said, you lost it because of mail-in voting. It was a what?
In voting. It was a rigged election.
It was a rigged election. That's what Putin told Donald J. Trump. So, of course, Donald J. Trump believes it.
Rigged election, but mail. Oh, Vladimir Putin said something.
I mean, that's what the man did. And then 2 days after that, or a day after that, I think it's 2 days after that, right? It took Zelensky a moment to get to them after that meeting.
And here's Brian, go first. You pushed out on social media about doing away with mail-in ballots and potentially electronic voting machines. Can you expand on that and how important that is?
Well, that's a very off-topic, just really quickly. Mail-in ballots are corrupt. Mail-in ballots, you can never have a real democracy with mail-in ballots. And we, as a Republican Party, are going to do everything possible that we get rid of mail-in ballots. We're going to start with an executive order that's being written right now by the best lawyers in the country to end mail-in ballots because they're corrupt and
yeah, and you know what, Wasazi, you're right, because I do have another clip from 5 years ago when he's I just uploaded it last night to have it ready, actually. So good point that you're pointing that out, but I'm aware of that also, my friend. But it doesn't matter because I'm not here to have a competition. I'm not competing with anybody out there, because I compete against myself every day. I really do make sure I maximize most of my day being very, very progressive about things that I do. You know what I'm saying? Not just here when I want to share a little bit and for my own community, not for the people that don't think that they're a part of my own community. I'm not communicating with you all. If there's anybody here that doesn't feel like they're a part of my community and they're listening to me, I would not even understand why. But great that you're here, but I know what I'm doing this for. And it may not be for you, but you're welcome to listen. But for me, it's like when I see this, the man has expressed a very clear thought on videotape. He told you when he met in Alaska with Putin, Putin told him some interesting things about mail-in voting and how you can't have a free and fair election about it. He was very clear about that point. A few days later, he's lecturing the media on that point, going deeper and telling the media, he's not saying, here, Putin told me. Now he's taking on the whole idea as if it's his idea. And he's now reciting it to the media. And this is definitely pretty much he's shooting cannons over the bow. You know, he's shooting balls over the bow. It's warning shots. He's saying straight up, isn't, you know, he's announcing, you know, he's just letting you know, get ready for more, basically. You know, and if Americans don't unite and come together against this in every way, that also includes the military. That includes the FBI, the loyal people in the FBI that are loyal to the Constitution, the loyal people in the DOJ, the police. If you people don't do it and get out of this monkey mind, I'm just following orders shit, you're not going to have a country. Because this man is in cahoots with Putin. And you can't have it both. You can't have it both ways. You know, you can't have it both ways. You know, I mean, I wish it could be the case, but it's not going to work out that way. It's going to work out with in some very troubling ways. But let's go further, man. I toyed around with that. I have a little bit of time left now. The man does say, though, Trump, he does say that he's trying to look. This is everywhere in the media. See, this is not a hoax. Trump is really saying this. This is not a Democrat hoax. Trump is really saying that he's going to get rid of this. And Putin just really told him this a couple of days ago. And he's already got lawyers working on it. The best lawyers in the United States, according to Trump. According to Trump. That's his word on it. Yeah, and that is... feel sorry for Americans, but you know, it is something that the voters wanted. And I think MAGA people, I'm not talking about the trolls on the internet, because a lot of times that's troll farms. They're there. That's a Vladimir Putin thing, you know. But I mean, the ones inside of the country, the ones that are really there, you need to think very fast about how far you want to go with this, because people are not going to let you just come and break the law over and over and over again and then say, well, let's take it to court. People are going to get tired of going to court. If you grab one of my family members, I'm going to get tired of going to court when you're not even trying to follow the rules. Eventually, American people are going to have to say, fuck this. You're not taking just my family member while wearing a fucking mask and not identifying who you are. You're not coming in my town with a mask on. You're not coming in my neighborhood with a mask on. You are not going to come and commit crimes and say, oh, well, let's just do it until they take it to the court. Eventually, people are going to get tired of that. And Trump doing this thing about trying to stop the elections, that's another one of those things. You know.
Justifiable. I'm sure there's
now this is the cop who was at Jan 6, and these people almost killed him. They almost killed him, and they have no remorse for this police officer's life because he's not. Independent representatives. He helped protect the vice president of the United States. But, again, being blind with hate doesn't make you right, and it doesn't make you strong. And it doesn't mean you're going to last the battle. You may have gotten off to the race fast, but it doesn't mean you're going to finish the race. But in any case, that's who this man is.
Agents that are out there that, are just trying to do their job. But again, I look at it as though, complicity in this, silence is complicity. Quit your job. And that would be my message to everyone in the law enforcement community that's being co-opted by the Trump administration to do things that are immoral, unethical, and in many cases unconstitutional. Quit your job.
Tonight, there are urgent questions surrounding some of the most vulnerable people living in Washington, D.C. during Trump's takeover of the nation's capital. Authorities were seen clearing out homeless encampments across the Capitol this week. It's all part of Trump's stated goal of cracking down on crime and cleaning up the...
So Trump said that he was looking for immigrants, that was the problem. Then it went from immigrants to citizens being sent to prisons overseas or out of the country. Now it's shifted. He didn't run on homelessness. That wasn't anything in his campaign. But now it's shifted to homelessness in democratic cities. Okay. So it's shifted over to American citizens, essentially. That's already happened rapidly within within a few weeks of sending the military out and things like that. Now it's just citizens. Now it's just clean up everybody. Right. And it's really good that we got to hear one of the officers that really did stand up against a violent mob, and protect American representatives, unlike most of you motherfuckers in the police force, in the FBI, and all of that shit. Most of you weren't there at all to defend anything. But that guy was. And his advice was quit. Quit your job. If they're asking you to do anything, which they are, immoral or unethical, quit. That's what he said. What was his ethnic background? I don't know. He looks like a white American. Looks like he's one of the people you might call that, but I don't really know the details. Maybe he's got Irish background. Maybe it's something else. Anything else. It could be anything. Right? But he was there that day on Jan 6, and he did more to protect the representatives than most of any of these people that are running around in the city. More than ICE has protected anyone. More than these people in this city are about protecting anyone. And see, there's a clear distinction between ethics and morals here. One person really stood up against the odds. The others oppressed people with power.
They've called it beautification, despite the fact that the D.C. Metropolitan Police say violent crime is down 26% in the Capitol right now. On Tuesday, White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt gave us a clue.
Hey, T. Root, I hear you. I think that's Root. That's right. I can't really see all the things, but I look forward to also.
Give us a clue where people could end up.
Homeless individuals will be given the option to leave their encampment, to be taken to a homeless shelter, to be offered addiction or mental health services, and if they refuse, they will be susceptible to fines or to jail time.
Check this out. So she's here giving this little, confident little speech about pushing around homeless people. Now the speech about funding shelters for homeless people in America, not just politicize it, not make it just a Democrat thing, just all across America for Americans, red or blue, right? She's not talking about funding that. She's talking in this voice. But just a few days ago, this is how media was talking about her, and shit has gone so fast. It's almost like people forget because the news cycle is so fast. But check this out. I do believe it's this one right here.
Heinrich is in the room on the ground where the press conference just took place at Joint Base Elmendorf. Jackie, I was surprised, no questions. I was surprised, no.
Look, she's about to comment on Caroline here.
No details on what progress was made.
I think you and me both, Brian, and everyone else in this room was also surprised. We were told that we were going to have an opportunity to put questions to both leaders after a joint press conference in the event that the meeting went well enough that they could set the stage for a second meeting. And the President Trump said if that didn't happen, he was likely to call off the joint presser and just address the media solo and then send Putin home. Neither of those things happened. And what was really stunning to me as someone who's been in a lot of these press conferences is there were a few things that were very unusual. You had Putin come out and address the press first. I mean, we are on U.S. soil here, and that left the media scrambling to get their headsets in. Usually it is the leader of the country, the host country of a summit, that speaks first and addresses the room in their language. But Putin started right off in Russian, and we all had to get our headsets on and listen to him rattle off this diatribe about the history of the U.S.-Russia relationship, making some allusions to something that we didn't get many details.
You hear that? You hear that? You hear that part too? That's interesting. But she's going to go on to say some things, but she doesn't really know what that was about. But she's going to say something about Caroline now.
Many details on, but also, without knowing the full background of it, there was something that he said that was a little bit alarming, I thought, that seems like some of the things that he has done in the past, setting up false flags and that kind of thing, saying that we hope that Ukraine doesn't do anything to sabotage the progress that we made today, knowing full well that Ukraine has agreed to a ceasefire.
But let me ask you this. What makes you think he's not planting any false flags inside of the United States of America?
Agreed to a ceasefire unconditionally for the last several months, and it has been Russia that has not agreed to a ceasefire. That was President Trump's main objective today. And when we did hear from the president, he said, we didn't get there, but we think that we can. So a lot of questions remaining for the President, Trump, not just about what was discussed in that room and what might be happening now, but also how that all happened back there. It was just very unusual, atypical, and I think we're all awaiting, the readout, because the way that it felt in the room was not good. It did not seem like things went well, and it seemed like Putin came in and steamrolled, got right into what he wanted to say, and got his photo next to the president and then left. Of course, that is only the piece of the picture that we have right now, and certainly President Trump, who is the host and who is the president, would not want to, I think, enable something that would make him look weak. But we are eagerly awaiting to hear the background on that. And I will also note that we didn't see any sort of scowls on the faces of the likes of Steve Witkoff or Secretary Rubio or any of the other members of the U.S. delegation. And I think had it been concerning, we might have seen something there. But just to paint a picture for you of in the room, how it felt, what we're wondering about, what we need to know to put the pieces together and fully understand what we all just witnessed.
Yeah,
Right.
I guess you have great sources, and so does a lot of people.
Watch and see.
When you talked before coming here about the consequences for Vladimir Putin being severe, I found that interesting. Severe would be defined by me. India doesn't buy your oil. The European Union won't buy it. And why in the back of my head was I thinking, wait a minute, Donald Trump just delayed possible increase in tariffs on China. Why do I think that probably President Trump was thinking ahead that maybe if you had to, that would have been part of the consequences?
Well, because of what happened today, I think I don't have to think about that. Now, I may have to think about it in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or something, but we don't have to think about that right now. I think the meeting went very well.
So did you have alone time with him?
Yeah, I did. I did actually after our speeches. He made a very good speech, and I also finished it up. And afterwards, we spoke. Right after that, we spoke very sincerely. I think he wants to see it done. I want to see if we can get it done. It's not a done deal at all. They're going to set up a meeting now between President Zelensky and President Putin. And myself, I guess, I didn't ask you about it. Not that I want to be there, but I want to make sure it gets done. And we agreed on a lot of points. I mean, a lot of points we're agreed on. But there's not that much. There's, one or two pretty significant items, but I think they can be reached. Now it's really.
So they didn't reach shit. And it was never designed to reach anything. That's not what the meeting was about. The meeting obviously is about something else outside of Ukraine, which they're not going to tell folks. And sure, that might be a conspiracy. Of course it is. It's a theory also. Maybe not maybe it's just a theory. Maybe it's just my opinion. Yeah, it's my opinion. But to me, it seems like everyone is saying it wasn't about those things because nothing happened to to come to any conclusion, which is what people expected before the meeting. People said, why the hell is he having a meeting? Nothing's going to come out of this with Putin. Putin's not interested in stopping the war. Why are you setting up a summit for something he's not interested in stopping? It makes no sense unless it's a cover up for some other shit, unless it's a way for them to meet out in the open, distract people, make a circus so you don't know what's going on. Isn't that what drug dealers do all the time? Isn't that what traffickers do in general? You have to be able to throw people off of what you're doing, and nobody knows what transpired between them when they were in the back of Trump's limousine. But what they do know is that some information got leaked on, in the hotel or in Alaska where they were staying or close to where they were staying, about information leaked, like where are the actual rooms, what rooms they're meeting in, and contact information of actual people with them in both of their groups, you see, or Trump's groups, Trump's own cabinet or whatever. Some names got out of there, right? And numbers. And this is a classic thing. I mean, do you really think that the signal leaks are by accident, or are they designed to be in plain sight to make you think it's not on purpose? Like, to make you think it's like, this has to be an accident, right? No one that's really leaking information would do it in the public if they don't want to get caught, right? But yeah, if they do it in the public, they could just say it's a mistake. They could just say, oops, it's just incompetence. But what if it's not incompetence? What if it's on purpose? What if it's on purpose? And I think people have to start looking at it that way. Stop making excuses for so many coincidences. Like, when are you going to be done with the coincidences before you understand that it is in plain sight what's going on? Danger. Collaboration, corroboration, conspiracy. Yeah. But in any case, folks, I'm going to bounce. I'll be back in a little bit. But I appreciate everybody coming out. People protesting. Yo, your lives are in your own hands. That's where it's at this point. I mean, thank God to the Democrat politicians that are doing things on the local level, national level, trying to fight them. Thank God. I appreciate what you're doing. I understand the power of voting. And this is what happens when you don't vote for the right person. These are the consequences. Even for you MAGA people, I know you like to think you're getting what you voted for. Yeah. Okay, well, take a picture in front of your house and show us. Go down your block and ask your neighbor and take a video and then show us that, since this is what you voted for. Because there doesn't seem to be loads of that going on in the U.S. All you see is MAGA people on video saying the opposite. So this shit is not really going to work. You have to qualify the stuff you type in a blog, in YouTube chat. YouTube chat, a person could just say anything. Yeah, Trump 2024. You don't know what that is. You don't know if that's a bot. You don't know if that's a paid troll. You don't know if that's a person who is an American. You don't know if that's a person who lives in the U.S. It could be anything. But video going down your block, doing quantifiable, at least, if not a little bit of data on your own neighborhood where you live with MAGA people, and ask them how do they feel about Trump. Everyday MAGA people, not the ones that are rich. No, ask the poor ones how they feel about Trump. I would like to know. Please, in the comment section, tag a video on YouTube where there's some poor red state MAGA voters who are happy with Trump, who are not rich, who are poor. Let me see how many the ones that are poor of MAGA, like Trump at this point. So then I will judge it by that. If the poor MAGA people are doing good, then hey, that means something good for all the MAGA people. So show me that. Give me a link to that. Outside of that, buy your weapons before Trump cancels buying guns. He's definitely going to do it very soon. This man is going to try anything to avoid going to jail. So if he has to destroy the country, destroy it already. Stopping veterans from voting or Americans from voting that are overseas, he will do that if he has to. Create violence in the streets of the United States of America, harassing citizens, brutalizing citizens, he will do that. Sending American citizens overseas, they will do that. Snatching you up in a mask and not letting anyone know who you are, where you come from, any type of official information, he will do that. If that will also be acceptable. Killing you is acceptable. Oops, because he is the president. You know, I mean, he's already going to protect. He said he will protect any law enforcement, period. So these officers are out there acting like that. They're depending on Trump to do what? Back them up, pardon them from any crimes, anything. That's what they're depending on doing. And the January 6th people that attacked the Capitol, threatened the life of Mike Pence, Nancy Pelosi, hurt police officers, killed one police officer. Those people got pardoned. Those people got pardoned. So that's the reality that we living in. So, you know, but y'all know that. But on that note, I appreciate everybody for coming through. I'll be back in a few, y'all. Y'all be good. Protect yourself. Protect your neck. Release the Epstein files. Wear your mask and prepare. Organize with your neighbors, because a lot of this is going to be in our hands. One.
They want war. Crime babies looking for food. Starvation, the recipe. People subdued. When the people you trust got it in for you. Deceit is the word of the day and every clue. Don't let it go. It's from the days of old. Time is up, but some still do not know. Can I make up mine? Is it worth the dime? Do I have to take a minute just to make it mine? Life's never fair, but don't listen to the TV. Go out and take a listen to the streets with the people in the slums and the homeless bums with degrees and degrees sitting under a tree. It's not easy in the world for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. See, they don't want you to know about the black sheep. Even 7 to the 12 families all around the globe with an ancient code. Is it really asking a lot to say a death ode? Cause we sitting on the earth looking back at extinct, and I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink, but I documented for the world what I see and think. Feel we on the call and up and we on the break. All Congress gonna do is waste paper and ink. Vote or die, you voted and you'll die. You can have it both ways, can't say it's a lie. You can march all you want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war, it's the same old song. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they want to keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they want to keep you low, so they manifest the war. Like a lotus coming out of the mud with colors, I create envy in those with power but jealous. I unify the poor with my song, the hell with the others. Descended the way they treat indigenous brothers, cause I understand we link forever. They try to hate us even though that we keep it together. I'm not talking about controlling the air or the weather. I'm talking about maintaining the truth, the high endeavor. A rebel drops bombs in the midst of trouble. The free world counterattack and now there's double. But nature gets the shit in the way to settle. If you stop the machines for a minute, you hear, but they won't, cause the TVs whisper in the ear. And capitalism has eyes that don't tear, and they cloud up and get crazy and won't steer. And like an ad, it's hard to get an ass to listen. Living like this is like living in prison. It's hard to keep hope when you're living in prison. The spiritual thoughts, so yes, the mental prison. The outside, yes, it's got to get through. Something's gotta die, so something here can live. Your life is nothing if you got nothing to give. Keeping the spiritual, yes, disguise is religion. Controlling your mind, the mental prison. They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they want to keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep the low, so they manifest the war.